So if you could be here around 9, that would be great. Okay?
Well, listen here.
Hello, and welcome to 90 Day Fiancé MK. I'm Mr. O, and today, Miss H and I will be discussing Part 4 of a Season 8 tell-all of Happily Ever After. In this episode, Sophie and Rob fight in and out of the hot tub. Jasmin makes nice with Ed. The rest of the cast gives Manuel a hard time for his level 1 English skills. Angela comes back and doesn't care what Kobe has to say. And Loren defends her decision to get surgery, while Alexei defends traditional gender roles. We'll be back again next week to talk about the last Part 5 of the tell-all, and we'll also be back on our other channel, Love After Lockup MK, covering the new season of Love After Lockup. Alright, thanks for listening, stay safe, and enjoy.
Hello, Mr. O.
Hello, Miss H.
How are you today?
I'm tired. I spent the weekend in New York City, and like every time I go to New York, I feel like I walk a million miles. So like every weekend, and there's so many stairs.
Yeah. Oh yeah, stairs are my favorite. All that working out, I guess. So let's jump into some of these couples. They're working out their mouths at the mansion. And so a lot of little things happen. So let's go ahead and cover that first. First of all, we've got John, Patrick, and Thais, where John just kind of barges into Patrick and Thais' room. And she was just about to drop her robe. So she is very upset. And Patrick yells at John to get out. John doesn't know where he's going to sleep tonight, but too bad. We don't really figure that out either. Later, Patrick struggles to help Thais put on her dress. He tells her that the dress is too difficult, and then they end up just having to safety pin it together. So, yeah, poor them.
That's a work. You could have just sewn her into the dress. I'm sure production would have been ready for that, too.
Right. Instead, Patrick and his big old man hands, I guess, like ripped the zipper or something.
Yeah. We also had Jasmin and Gino hanging out and doing some stuff, so they said that they were doing okay the past couple of days, and then we have Jasmin talking to Ed.
Yes.
Which
I guess hilarious.
It was really funny because it's like they're starting to get along, and so like Ed is like, you inspire me because if somebody like you can be with an ugly asshole like Gino, then I know there's hope for me. Is pretty much what Ed, and she took that the way it was intended and was like, oh, gee, thank you. That's nice. When you're not being a stupid, you're actually very kind. Yeah. So she doesn't say she goes so far as she likes Ed, but, doesn't dislike him either. So we also do find out that Jasmin and Gino did spend the last night sleeping in the same bed, even though they had that, wall of pillows that we've seen every once in a while. And then they start to fight a little bit later over the using a green card to control people, but then Kobe comes in and stops them from fighting. But Kobe also got involved, and we have Angela and Michael on the stage. They came back like halfway through the show. They did not sleep in the mansion, so I assume that John just slept in Angela's house, in Angela's room.
Yeah.
They come back. Angela says she just came back. I just came back for you, Sean, and to defend these women here because that's what those women want. They want Angela to defend them.
Oh, God.
But Kobe has seen enough. He decides to tell Angela his opinion. And she basically pulls the, that's just your, opinion, man. And she just keeps saying, I don't care what you think. I don't care. I don't care. So we didn't get much from her besides that, but that's where we are now.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So the big ones we had were continuing on with Sophie and Rob. So Rob is claiming that the girl who invited him to lunch wasn't even his type. And Sophie thinks that all women are his type. Ashley says that it's a problem for Sophie, so it should be a problem for him. Jasmin thinks it would be helpful to know the type of woman he's attracted to, which I don't know is going to be helpful at all, even though she seems to think so.
No.
Rob says that Sophie is his type, and he's never wanted anyone else since he's seen her. Sophie doesn't feel the love or attraction. She says that Rob is into muscular or fit women. Sophie says that Rob was always asking her to send pictures, and Rob argues that if she's telling him not to look at other women, it makes sense for her to send pictures of herself. He even sent her a dildo. We mentioned this at the beginning. And Ashley points out that maybe she just doesn't have as high of a sex drive. Sophie says that he's not like that in person, and that they share that they've only had sex once, well, it ends up being 1.5 times in 2023. Jasmin then gets excited that her and Gino have had sex more than one time in 2023. They're winning. And says that Gino is into porn that also looks nothing like her. She says that he likes Japanese women who are extremely skinny and not curvy at all, which is why she won't even get undressed in front of him anymore. Rob continues that Sophie complained her stomach hurt the one time they were having sex, but Sophie still thinks that it counts, and that's the half of time. And she said that there were 0 dates. So Rob gets out of the hot tub because it's all happening in the hot tub as a continuation from last episode, and everyone is annoyed that they are always fighting over shit that happened years ago. Mm-hmm. Rob maintains that the worst thing he's done was ask someone who sent him nudes to send more. So he admits that he did that, and yes, that's pretty bad. Sophie then says that she has the voice note that, proves that he asked this other person to lunch, but it might be on her old phone. Ashley asks her she's just looking for an excuse not to be with him, and Sophie says that she doesn't need an excuse because she has all the reasons and Rob is terrible. Sophie doesn't have the voice note, but she says that she sent it to her mom, so she calls her mom, and her mom says that she doesn't have it. Rob gets set off and tells her that she's being manipulative. Sophie cries to get the other women to side with her. Manuel tries to pep talk Rob, and Rob says that he doesn't think Sophie believes in marriage as much as she let on. Liz points out that it sounds like Sophie is not letting go of the cheating stuff that happened before they got married. Sophie says that she gave Rob a list of things that would help her forgive him, and number 1 was no porn. And she found porn on his phone 3 days later. Everyone asks to see the receipts again. But Sophie just pulls up random Instagrams of women he finds attractive, which really doesn't prove anything. She then dives into the dildo story that Rob molded his junk and sent it to her, and she made a video of her working it and sent it to him, and he said it wasn't enough. Sophie then is upset that Rob is still jacking off to other women after that. Manuel tells Rob that he should be happy that they don't have kids, and he should probably just move on and learn from his mistakes and be happy. The next day, Rob is pointing out to everyone in the van that Sophie keeps bringing up shit from years ago. Sophie, in the other van, tells the women that she's ready for a divorce and good luck to any other woman that he has in his life. Rob is laying down on the couch on set, saying he's just exhausted. Gino still thinks there's hope, and that Rob should fight for it. Okay, out of touch, Gino.
Yeah, right.
He says if he and Jasmin can make progress, they can too. Sophie requests that they have 2 chairs on set because she doesn't want to sit near Rob. Everyone notices the tension. Sophie starts by saying that Rob is always bad-mouthing her. Patrick stands up for Rob and says that Rob has not once said anything bad about her, and he only talks about their situation. Rob thinks that Sophie doesn't like that everyone is siding with him about her not moving back. And she says that she wants him to take accountability. And Rob says he is. Patrick says that Sophie has to forgive him or they'll never get anywhere. Sophie is saying that she blocked Rob on everything and she never wants to see him again, but she's kind of muttering this under her breath where only he can hear. Jasmin pipes in that Sophie says she wants a divorce. She announces this to the whole stage. Rob says he doesn't know how to take responsibility when she's accusing him of things that he didn't do. Sophie is annoyed that Rob keeps cutting her off and they just want to let each other speak. Jasmin points out that this is turning into a sympathy contest and they're never going to get anywhere. Rob thinks that Sophie is trying to get everyone on her side to understand why she's not coming home. All right. I hope this is the last we kind of hear of anything because it definitely
I don't think it will be. There is no way we get through part 5 without Sophie saying the words online cheating. Not happening.
Oh, okay. Interesting bet. All right. So Sophie will say something about online cheating. I don't know. I don't know how many different ways she can say that she's done because she said it so many different ways on this episode. So that's what kind of makes me believe that she's done. But then on the other hand, I'm even going against my own thought here, is that I feel the reason why she keeps on making this big deal to Rob, right? Not even necessarily to everyone else, but to Rob. Like, I've fucking blocked you. Never talk to me ever
She did that under breath while other people were talking. And they're like, I'm sorry, excuse me, there's something going on up there? Like, it was like a teacher in the classroom being like, I'm sorry, do you guys want to share? Like, we're having another conversation over here. Yeah.
Yeah, but she definitely is trying to, but I think she's trying to get a rise out of him, because why else would you just do that? I feel like I get the reasoning behind, like, okay, I'm going to block you. And that in itself is me going to ignore, you ever talking to me again. But it's like she has to let him know that he's blocked. And she has to tell him, don't ever fucking talk to me again. So I feel like she wants a reaction out of him.
She does. But everything she does is like the same move that like a high school girl does.
Sure.
Like the popular high school girl who was mad that he didn't get any, and whether they should break up or not. Maybe the guy was being a jerk, but like dealing with it. Well, it's actually on my other phone, and my mom has it, and I called my mom and she didn't have it. Then I don't have it, but I have the receipts, and I just want to show you guys that it's like it's just such high school shit. Like it's hard to take anything seriously.
These are receipts from years ago. Everybody is telling. I don't know. Jasmin, for some reason, was like, I feel like everyone is just like wanting to know if she's telling the truth or not, and that's why they're asking for the receipts. But in the end, nobody freaking cares about if she has receipts or not, because they're like, get over it. This was years ago.
Yeah, and if you either break up or you get over it. Those are your two choices. What you're doing now, like bringing it up and pouting about it, isn't it. That's not it. Like that's not what you can be doing right now. And she does not get that. She's just like, but he was mean, and he was mean. And it's just the other things that go with it. Like, number one on the list of the things she couldn't do was he couldn't watch any porn, even though I wasn't around and I wasn't sending him any pictures and I wasn't giving him any encouragement. I was like, okay, well, then you set him up to fail. Like, the guy's gonna like. It's a weird ask, especially from someone who gets their money by doing OnlyFans.
Right.
Like, that's the other thing that goes around this is like, while you're telling him you can't look at other women, you can't have porn, you're literally selling, and you're not giving him any pictures, you're selling pictures of yourself to other men. Like, we know it's not part of the show.
That? Oh,
yes,
I can't remember.
That's pretty much her money that she had before was OnlyFans money.
So was she like a cam girl, OnlyFans girl, or just like
whatever? I don't know that it was, but it would be like, I don't know if it was full like nudity and like requests and stuff like that. But
the only reason why I ask is because is that how they ended up meeting?
Maybe like they met on social media, like, and so it's just funny that we go through this whole thing and they haven't brought that up at all.
Yeah.
And it's just weird things. And also, it came up with this one and Jasmin. Like, doesn't it make sense if you're going to look at porn to not look at porn that looks exactly like the person you have at home? Like, I have one of those at home. Why would I watch that? Like,
yeah. There was a bunch of things she said in the segment that didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. When she's like telling him, he's not taking accountability for anything and he's bad-mouthing her. And it's just like, where is this coming from? Like, I have to agree with Patrick. Like, I don't think that Rob has been like, oh, Sophie, she's such a dirty slob. Like,
no, she hasn't.
She won't let go of anything. Like, what a heartless bitch. Like, he's never said anything. If anything, he said, oh, she isn't letting it go. We argue about that, right? Which is nothing about, like, her. I mean, it certainly implies that she's difficult, but, it's like, he's not been just throwing her under the bus. He's been talking about their situation.
Right, but she also did that, and the thing that drives me crazy is she interrupts him, and then when he interrupts her back, says, you need to let me stop. You leave him and finish talking. Like, I'm like, you interrupted him to start talking. Like,
right.
So she just, and part of the reason I do believe that Rob is a total asshole. He's getting a good cut this season. Sure. Right? Good edit this season. But my God, she's just like so hard to deal with and so hard to listen to. She just sounds like whine, complain, pout, for a situation that she could be out of if a snap of a finger.
Right.
If she wants to be out of it.
It doesn't sound like she's over it. And it's just like, and also the thing that really started to frustrate me towards the end is it did just seem like she's just trying to get everyone on her side.
Yes.
You know, and that's why she kept on bringing up this shit from years ago because it made him look bad.
That's the thing that she has that makes him look the worst.
Right. And so that's why she's bringing it up, you know, and it's like, did she let go of it? Probably not, but that's not why she's bringing it up now. She's bringing it up now because it makes him look bad.
But I think she always brings it up whenever she needs him to look bad. She just pulls it out of her back pocket. Right. For whatever it is. If she did something wrong and now she feels like she is bad and she wants to make him look bad to herself or to anybody, that's going to come up. Online cheating is going to come up again. All right. So the another big one we had was Loren and Alexei. They got pretty much a ton of stage time, not so much mansion time. Well, not so much mansion time because things are boring enough for Alexei at the mansion. Everybody else is having gossipy times, and I want to hear this. Alexei just literally falls asleep on the couch. Loren has to wake him up and take him to bed. So the next day, Loren is nervous because their turn is coming up, and she feels like a lot of claws are going to be out for her. So during the actual tell-all, we get flashback of the graphic surgery footage, which Loren is seeing for the first time. And so is everyone else because we get a lot of just like shocked faces in the little inset screen. So Loren starts to shed a few tears during the part where, you know, she was like total recovering and totally out of it. And she was like, "Are they big? Am I snatched now?"
So funny.
So she says she's proud that she did the surgery, and it was a really visceral way to kind of show the things that she put her family through. Like, you could clearly tell watching the surgery why it took so long to recover from it. So Rob thinks that it was really too much to do any surgery because any surgery runs, you know, the risk of death. And he would have, look what she would have left, you know, the kids without a mom and all that stuff. And Manuel kind of agrees. Ashley doesn't really agree with everybody that she put one of the big arguments was not just that she did the surgery and took the risk, but it put too much on Alexei's plate. But Ashley doesn't think so because there's single parents out there. So if they can do it, so can he. And he's probably a better father for it after having to do all that. So Emily says she's proud of Loren for, you know, taking the time out as a mom and doing something for herself. And then Alex kind of comes back and is like, wait a second, I was a good dad before. What do you mean I'm a better dad? I was a great dad before. I'm still a good dad. It was really hard. So Sean asks Loren how she's healing, and she says she's feeling good, but was hoping the surgery gave her a little bit more. That she says va-va-voom, although not as much va-va-voom as Jasmin has. Va-va-voom in this case means big boobs. So Sean asks her to stand up, and she kind of like describes and points to all the places that work got done. Including her new belly button, and like everybody was wowed. Like, you gave you a new belly button? A new belly button? So she asks, then we kind of come to Jasmin if you know, they ask around like, well, who would do a surgery like that? And Jasmin was like, immediately me. Yep. Would do that. Ashley also says she's interested in getting work done, but Manuel says he likes it the way he is, and she should wait until after he should have kids, you know, because he doesn't want the baby to have to suck on plastic. And everybody's like, the baby or you, Manuel? And he was like, well, both. So they move on to Gino, who says he doesn't really want Jasmin to have any more surgeries, but if she decided to, he'd support her, which is good because then she brings up some like surgery to give her like a more hourglass figure where they literally like, break your ribs and make them smaller to do that. And, you know, while they're doing that, also bigger boobs than what she has. So that one of the things that then connects kind of Jasmin and Loren is the dealing with this body dysmorphia. So Sean asks if the surgery helped that, and not really, because body dysmorphia isn't something that goes away just like instantaneously. And Loren says it's getting better. Then they bring on Loren's mom, Marlene, via Zoom and ask her about the surgery. Marlene says that she's just not for elective surgeries, which is wrong. Like, yes, this was a elective surgery, but it's also an elective surgery if you have like kidney stones removed. That's not, you know, people misunderstand what elective surgery means. Yeah. So she doesn't get why Loren would do any of this, including possibly another whole surgery, because there's no problem. There's no guarantee it's going to solve the problem she's looking to solve. Alex, of course, is on Marlene's side and doesn't want her to change too much. You know, he was attracted to her the way she was, especially her butt. Apparently, when they went to the surgery, that was specifically off limits. He was like, do not touch the butt. So he describes how it, he also describes how it feels kind of like this whole situation that they're in was supposed to be just like, oh, this one thing, you're just going to get this one surgery and that's going to be it, is now kind of spiraled into more surgeries, going back to work. And that brings us to a flashback of the part where she was like, I want you to be my cheerleader, and he didn't take it well. So Sean gets asking Alex about if he's like, are you saying that should be her only job, is taking care of the house? So he's like, yeah, it's part of her job, and nobody really wants to argue with him. So Sean asks why he was upset about the term cheerleader, and he didn't really say there's anything specifically wrong with cheerleader. He just said this whole going back to work, everything caught him off guard. He thought it was like date night, I'm getting laid, like this is going to be fun. And then she was like, I'm going to go back to work. And he's like, not what I was expecting. So she asked if anybody thinks that he came across during the conversation as chauvinistic. And, of course, that means that Ed has to be like, oh, I don't think he was at all. He's just defending the traditional family, which is not bad. So I feel like really bad. Yeah. And Alex still maybe thinks he came across as, he thinks traditional family roles are important, but really this was mostly just bad timing. So Marlene pops up again and says she's worried about Loren being Loren, and no matter what she does, she's going to take on too many duties. Like we saw here, she's going to go back to work and try to do literally everything she did before, not sharing the responsibility with Alex. And she shouldn't feel guilty when Alex has to step up to do the things that she used to do. But Alex Alex kind of at this point in stage feels like he's starting to be done dirty, because he's like, I don't sit around on my ass all the time. Like, I do stuff. Why is everybody talking like I'm sitting here doing nothing? And then something comes up about Alex being too much of an alpha male who wants to be the, king of the castle. And, Marlene's not crazy about that. Lauren's not crazy when he acts like that. She wants more of a partnership than a hierarchy. So Sean changes gears a bit and asks them both if they're, officially done with kids. Loren says, they're not pregnant or anything, but she kind of has baby fever. And Alex is like, nope. I just took care of 3. I'm done with that. That's plenty for me. So backstage they have dinner, and this is like when the drama comes up with them. So everybody else starts talking about how, and I thought it was funny because they're like, I don't understand. Why didn't anybody give them any shit? Like, they didn't get any shit. Everybody just agreed with them all the time. And it's like, well, why didn't whoever was saying that? I think it was mostly Thais. It was like, well, why didn't you say something then? Thais really does seem salty that like Loren said something on Pillow Talk about her one time or when they did it. So at this point, Loren and Alexei come in to say goodbye to everyone because since their segment's over and they have kids and they have work, they need to leave. They can't hang out for another night. So they try to give hugs all around. Only Sophie and Thais give, what did she call them, half-assed hugs?
Half-assed hugs, yep.
Yep, because those two are mad that they're leaving and they didn't have to deal. Like, they were like, we were going to yell at you at the house and you didn't. You're skipping that part. We were going to fight with you at the house. So, and they're like, what is it fair? Why do you guys get to leave? And Lauren's like, get on a plane. Like, nobody's stopping you. Just get on a plane. Like, so, and then that kind of gets Thais to give her the old, what do you think, you're better than me? And Loren says, okay, well, if you wanted to bitch at me, I got 5 minutes. What do you want to say? And kind of sits down, but we don't hear. I guess we'll hear what they got said next time. So, I mean, do you think it's unfair that they get to leave early?
No, I am Team Loren all the way on this, especially when I saw what Loren said on Pillow Talk. She was commenting on the situation. She was not mean about it. I'm just like, why do these people
especially
have
what
such
they
an
flashed
issue with
back to? She didn't say anything about Thais. She just said she liked John.
Yeah.
I would hang out with John. He seems like a fun guy.
That's all she said. And I'm just like, what is that to be upset over? Because she happens to be Team John? Who cares? Right. And she didn't say anything against him.
And it's on the silly show that she's paid to make smart-ass comments on. Like, what do you want her to do?
Right.
Like,
yeah. And, I thought Lauren's, she broke down why it was that they were leaving. It basically came down to childcare. And could they have hired a babysitter as they suggested? Sure, but you don't know their situation. It's like to just assume that babysitters are great for everyone. Like, you don't know. And I just, Loren had a point in the end. Like, you have a problem with it, you can go home too. No one's making you be here.
Right. I think part of that has to do with Loren and Alexei have been around the block in the show long enough that they don't care or need this show anymore. Yeah. And so they got called up and said, hey, we want you to do a 3-day tell-all or a 4-day tell-all. And they were like, yeah, we can give you 3 days.
Right.
And I think nobody else did. Everybody else said, oh, that we have to do? Okay, we'll be there. Right?
Right. And yeah, because you're right. Because I think it's very much the case that if you're getting paid per episode, Loren and Alexei are probably not getting paid for that last episode.
Right. Sure.
Which they are choosing that. And they're like, okay, that's fine. You know? And so if they wanted to make that decision, they could have made that decision for themselves as well. So I am not on Team Thais or Sophie at all in this. I don't understand why there's so much hatred.
And the only reason you're not dipping out is because you want to make, you're Sophie and you want to get that last resort spot. Right?
Yeah.
Like
or single life, right?
Or a single life spot, right? Whatever it may be. Like, and Loren and Alexei do not care about being on the show anymore, I don't think.
No. And I think they might be projecting a little bit of jealousy too, because maybe they do think Loren and Alexei maybe get treated better by production because, and I don't think it's necessarily because anybody thinks that, even production that but they probably just know them better. They've worked with them before. They've had a relationship with them. Production may treat them a little bit better because they know, like, oh, this is a couple that have had their own successful spinoff. Right? Because when was the last time that we saw, like, Annie and David? Right.
But I would not be surprised if, like, Loren is also just better at that kind of thing. Production's going to like you. I bet she knows the name. I wouldn't be surprised if she knows the name of every makeup artist in there. And it's like, oh, how's it going? How are you doing? It's so great to see you again. And some of the other people just come in there and just sit and put my makeup on, please. Yeah. Right? And like, well, guess who's going to get favorable treatment then? Right?
Right.
And so, so maybe it is a favorable treatment. Maybe it's because they've been around for a long time. But I mean, feel like of all the people, like, Alex just does not give a shit about this show.
He doesn't. And he's so laid back. And I mean, it's like you said, him napping on the couch. Like, why didn't you guys come at them then? They had all the time in the world. They were literally doing nothing.
Right.
They were so much doing nothing, they fell asleep.
Yeah. And they come after, they were legit mad that nobody came after them. And it's like, you were the people that were supposed to come after them.
Right.
Like, who else did you think was going to come after them if not you? Right. And so I do think they kind of get that. Like, they're the golden couple. They're a good couple. They don't have anybody, arguing with them on stage because it's not effective. Like, it doesn't do anything.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to a couple that maybe argues a little bit more, and that's Ashley and Manuel. So they both agree that Manuel has not learned any English. He's at a 1 out of 10, like even self-described. Sean asks him why he doesn't make more of an effort, and Manuel says that he doesn't want to spend money on taking classes, and he'll just learn it on his own, in his own time. Thais said that she had gone to school, and Ed points out that he, meaning Manuel, could make more money in the workforce if he's bilingual, and then Ed just calls him lazy. Jasmin says that there isn't a need for him to learn because Ashley always translates, and maybe there's a fear that you just won't understand. Manuel supports the idea of maybe forcing him to learn by her not translating as much. He thinks that he'd learn faster that way. Ashley says that his paperwork is in process. Liz says that he is lazy because he has the motivation, which is making more money for his family back in Ecuador. Jasmin tells him in Spanish that he has to learn so that way he can make more money because he will have a lack of options if he only speaks Spanish. Ashley's sister and cousin are both brought out. Her cousin Jasmin hopes Manuel isn't just pocketing money Ashley gives him as a safety net. Manuel says that he saves pocket change at their home. He then says he likes to collect dollar bills and coins, and Ashley knew about the coin collecting and organizing, and Jasmin adds that it's a Latin thing. Manuel thinks Ashley is jealous that Manuel has more money saved than her. Ashley is frustrated because she wants to be included, and so back to this whole argument again, and she still hasn't met his sons. Manuel yells at the cousin that what they do, they care about money what do they care about money that has been gifted to him? It's his business. Ashley is hoping that when he gets his work permit, he will be more motivated. Ashley says that she's been busy, which is why she hasn't applied for the permit earlier. She didn't have time to do it, and she was stubborn, and now she's finally hired a lawyer. Ed blames Manuel, saying that he's creating this problem by not opening up. And Cece was trying to help by sending them information, and Ashley says that they should have it handled. Cece and Ashley haven't talked very much. Manuel starts crying as Cece says that he's sneaky and not transparent. Manuel then says he's crying because Ashley let a year go by without filing his paperwork, and he could have been working this whole time. Instead, Ashley spends 4 hours at the gym a day. Patrick says that he's done just as much as Ashley, he just doesn't talk about it, like Ashley's trying to get credit. Just reminding me of Gino, giving me Gino vibes.
Yeah.
Patrick says that it's probably about 20 hours total of time to fill this paperwork, and Ashley gives him just like stink face, like really obvious, terrible stink face. They argue about their respective debts, Ashley and Manuel, and Ashley says they really should have talked about finances more before they got married. Manuel says that Ashley should ask him questions and he'll open up. But Liz is fired up because Ashley takes care of his kids and he is not opening up to her. Manuel says that she knew about his kids, but he didn't know about her debt. He brings up that he could have been helping this whole time if she had just done his paperwork. She agrees, but said he could have also been learning English for years. Ashley has a different experience than Patrick, so she's not having any of Patrick's questions. Kobe says that she just doesn't prioritize his paperwork, and Ashley throws his lack of learning English again to help make herself look better. Manuel doesn't want to be a house husband. He would rather work or go back to Ecuador. Manuel is maybe committed to making the marriage work. Ashley just stares at him wide-eyed when he says this. Ashley says she feels guilty taking a dad away from their kids. He said maybe because he's also frustrated. He can't see his kids because of his green card. Manuel then walks it back by saying that sometimes you say things when you're mad. Ashley says she understands that things are rough, but she believes he is committed to making it work. Ashley tells us after that there were hard lessons this weekend, but she's read it. Okay, so do you think that Ashley really has learned her lesson and like taken responsibility for taking a year to get his paperwork?
I don't understand why he didn't do the paperwork.
Or do you think she thinks he's right?
I don't understand why he didn't do the paperwork.
Because it's probably in English.
I guarantee you they have Spanish versions of the immigration paperwork.
Oh, you
guarantee
think so?
you.
Yeah.
That's why I don't know it wasn't more so, she wouldn't do the paper. Now, if it was she wouldn't sign the paperwork that I had completed or, or she wouldn't give me the documents I needed to complete the paperwork that I couldn't get, that's a different story. But I see her frustration as you're just sitting on your ass waiting for me to do something for you. Like, that's not tenable. Like, that's not okay.
Yeah, I wonder how much is possible for them to do completely on their own, right? Because I feel that if Jasmin had the opportunity, that she would have, because Jasmin's fired up. She's trying to get her green card. If Gino had said to her, like, hey, you get it started and I'll just sign off, she would have done that. So it makes me kind of wonder, is there something that only they can do? Like, maybe it takes information that they have, right? Like social security numbers, maybe like their birth certificate. Maybe it requires information that they just don't have access to. And so it's not possible for them to do it completely on their own.
Right. But I feel like it wouldn't have taken a year if he would have been like, here's the form. Ashley, you came home from work. Oh, I'm trying to fill out this form. I need this information. Mm-hmm. Like, this is what I need to do. This is what I need. It's like if he was like, great, I printed out the forms at the library, Ashley, we can work on them tonight. Right. It's like he didn't, you know what I'm saying? He's just waiting to be like, well, you haven't done it yet. I don't know what to do. I'm just going to sit here on my ass and wait for you to do something. It doesn't like take any proactive steps at all to get it started. Jasmin's the other way. I feel like he was trying to control her and was very much just like, whereas I feel like Ashley was just either overwhelmed or, busy with her weight loss journey, as she said, because she probably does spend 4 hours might be a lot. But yeah, it's kind of hard to do when there's only 16 waking hours in the day and you spend 8 of them at work and 4 of them at the gym, that doesn't leave a lot of time to do other things.
Yeah. But it makes me feel like there's something else kind of going on with this whole paperwork thing if Jasmin, because Jasmin seems like an educated, capable woman. And if you're saying that she can't get this started, and she would have if there was a way, I believe that Jasmin is the kind of person who probably looked up online, like how to do all this stuff too. But I do think there's also an element of maybe she didn't go too far in that because she was trusting that Gina was saying the whole time, I'm getting it taken care of.
Yes. I could believe that too. If she said, because I could also see Gino doing, she's like, hey, I started this paperwork. I need your social security card, your passport, and, a bank statement or whatever you need. Right. Right. And he'd be like, why? I have it taken care of, I'll have it turned in next week. Yeah. I got all that time. Right. Like, or because I could see Gino being offended, being like mad that how dare you try to do this work? I told you I would take care of you. Mm-hmm. You're not giving me any credit for anything because you're trying to do it on your own. Like,
oh God, the credit.
Right. Whereas Ashley just seemed like she was lazy and didn't want to do it and didn't think to do it. Like, and yeah, but I don't think Manuel holds no responsibility for it not getting done for the year. It's one of those things. Because he didn't even say, I didn't feel like I wanted to nag her, or I felt like I was asking too much because I asked her to start the paperwork every week for a year and she still never did it. Every Tuesday I sat down and tried to do it with her and she wouldn't do it. It wasn't like that either. It's like she's literally sitting there watching his, TV shows while she comes home and then at the end, then after a year is like, well, I couldn't get a job because you didn't do the paperwork.
Yeah, I don't even understand their relationship because, like, let's go back to the, what did you say, 16 waking hours? Mm-hmm. Like, if she's spending 4 of them at the gym and 8 is, like, at work, assuming she kind of has some steady work or whatever, it's like, how much time is she actually spending with this man? And how much of this time is this man spending just alone? Like, how depressing for him.
Well, that's also that's also difficult, too. Like, I always find that is a real strain on a relationship, and we get that. Sometimes we get that as teachers even over the summer. And I've had it when, like, you ever have one person who's not employed or is underemployed and the other person works all day? And that becomes a huge strain, not just because of the money, not just because of the finances, but it's like the person who worked all day gets home and is exhausted and just wants to like hit the zone out and grab their cup of whatever and chill. And the other person's like, ooh, I finally have somebody around. What can we do? Let's I need to talk.
What can we do? What can we talk about?
What can we do? What can we do? What can we talk about? And like the other person's just like, oh my God, no, stop. It becomes difficult. But I can also see if you've been sitting around all day, like being lazy breeds being lazy, right? If you have nothing to do but sit around all day, then you start sitting around all day. That's just what you do. Like, but I don't know. It just, I thought the coin thing was funny too, because if that's a Latin thing, they should totally tell my Irish grandfather about it, that he's apparently Latin, because like all the old men I know always have coins and coin collections. Oh, don't touch that one. That one's a 1932. I have to keep that one. Oh, and like, I remember going over to my, I remember have fond memories of going over to my grandfather's house and wrapping coins.
Okay.
To take to the bank. I'm going to bring out the big coin jar and we're going to sit at the kitchen table and wrap coins. Like, that was definitely a Sunday activity.
I remember wrapping coins, but that was to take to the bank to cash in.
Well, yeah, we took them to the bank, but you have to sort out the good ones, and you can take all the ones that don't matter and cash them into the bank.
Oh, we just stuck them all in. We wrapped all the coins that didn't matter. My goodness. Now you don't have to do that. There's the advent of Coinstar. You just dump it all in there. God, don't talk. My dad got that same kind of thing from him, and he's like, they take 10%. I get my goddamn 10%. I'll wrap these damn coins. Yeah. Can you go to the bank and get free wraps there?
You used to be able to. I'm not sure if you can. The wraps were really cheap. It was like $1 for like all the wraps you could imagine.
For the rest of your life.
Yeah, basically.
All right, good to know. Okay, so out of the group we saw this week, who was your student of the week?
I'm going to go with Patrick, because I feel like Patrick had some good points that got made during his forays, especially to asking, like, especially when he threw out the, like, because we've said that before. We said that when it was in Gino and Jasmine's. It's like, it doesn't take like a 3 months worth of 8-hour work to do. He was like, it was like 20 hours tops.
Yeah.
And I feel like he was exaggerating there. It was like, we filled out a form and Xeroxed like 3 things. Like it didn't, I understand what the problem is.
Yeah. I went with Loren. I appreciated that she wasn't necessarily like stirring the pot, but I also thought she wasn't trying to like let things slide, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
And I respected how she kind of confronted the situations, just put out in the open. You have a problem? Just tell me. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what about your dunce?
I'm going to say Sophie,
I did too.
She was just throwing the kitchen sink, like anything she could think of that Rob did wrong. Like we had to talk about, and the other thing too is some of the things she brought up, not because they actually bothered her or they were actually a transgression, but because she thought everybody else would think it was weird. Yeah. Like, look at this muscular woman he was looking at. Right. He made a dildo of his own dick. Isn't that fucking weird? Like, which is not a transgression. Like, making the dildo of your own dick
that was actually very nice of him to do that for you. Yeah. Well, I think she was also trying to, like, point out, like, oh, I made a video with it, and it wasn't good enough for him. It's like, all right.
Which also was, like, wow, we missed that, like, yeah, when you send your significant other something and he's like, oh, baby, I need more. Mm-hmm. That's a compliment. That's not that's him trying to be flirty and sexy, not him being like, you're not good enough for me.
Right. Oh, my goodness. Okay. Do you have a life lesson for this episode?
Yeah, it's about like language learning. You have to, the commitment to it has to be from both people, right? And we have that, we have that, people kind of said it, is like, if you keep bailing the person who's trying to learn a language out by translating for them, you are not helping them learn the language, and you're not helping them like adjust. We in fact do that for, I don't know, that's how you guys do it, but that's always the policy of our ELL department. Even if this teacher speaks Spanish and the kids speak Spanish, they were like, no, I'm not talking to you in Spanish in this class.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. My life lesson is, for any large project, you just need to read through the whole thing, you know, and at the very beginning, because sometimes you look at something, you're like, oh my gosh, it's 20 pages. And then you read through it and you're just like, oh, I can answer these questions. This will take like 2 seconds, right? But it's just the fact that it appears that large at the beginning. And even if it's just to read through it, you could at least give yourself little milestones. Like, okay, this first part will be really easy. This part's going to be a little bit harder. Maybe I'll put that off, or maybe I'll allocate a little bit more time for it. But you can't just sit there and like not look at it, because it will always be a big thing. You got to start somewhere. Just skim through the project the first time.
Yeah.
Teacher trick, right?
Right. Well, it's the how do you eat an elephant, right?
Right. Yeah.
One bite at a time.
Yeah. All right. So we will be back for one more.
Yes. One more with this group. Mm-hmm.
Yes. One more for this group. And we just talked about this offline, but they're starting with before the 90 days, right after. So it's getting to be the end of the season. So I think we need to start being more vocal about the fact that after this season, we will still continue to record and release podcasts for the Sunday episodes of the 90 Day Fiancé world, but we will not be releasing on Monday. It has a lot to do with me teaching night classes now, which make it harder for our schedules. Yeah, but then also it feeling like a chore having to somehow fit it in on a Monday. So our goal is to release them by Wednesdays coming up, but at least for next week, we will still release on a Monday.
Yes, sounds good.
All right, so until then.
All right, talk until then. See everybody then.
Bye.
Okay, bye.